For anyone that doesn't know, Microsoft is trying to acquire Activision Blizzard, and they've had some issues lately in the UK. They've experienced delays, criticisms, and worries about what the brands and the companies would be like under Microsoft's control. But this isn't the point of the video. The point is that during these issues where they try to find a resolution, it appears that some documents have been leaked, and they're seemingly informative to the public. This leak has been circulating all around Twitter all morning and all day, as well as other information that was leaked. I'm not really sure why it was released or leaked, but it sheds some light on Bethesda's past, present, and future release titles with a fiscal year schedule. I won't be posting the photo or the leaks here, but I will be discussing what I saw, and I'm sure that it's still on Twitter or other forms of social media for anyone that is watching if they are curious themselves. It also appears that the FTC claimed that they did not leak the document or documents, and that it was reportedly someone from Microsoft that leaked them. It sounds like someone must have had some bad communication, or someone made a big mistake releasing this kind of information. Starting with the release schedule, there was a photo that ranges from fiscal year 2020 to fiscal year 2024, with a lot of titles in these windows. I'm sure a lot of these were affected by COVID, since it threw a huge curveball in the direction of every developer in 2020. In the photo, you can see that when they originally planned these release windows, Starfield was supposed to release in the fiscal year of 2021, but it was clearly delayed to September of 2023. It also appears that there are some projects with some working titles as well, and a lot of already released Bethesda titles and expansions. It's crazy to think that we should have already had a DLC or close to having one by now for Starfield, judging by the release window of this schedule. The Oblivion remaster, which I will get into more in a second later in the video. The Indiana Jones game that we don't know anything about yet. Moving on to fiscal year 2023, two more untitled projects, Doom, Year Zero and DLC, and another Elder Scrolls Online expansion. Here's the beef of what people have really been talking about though, the fiscal year 2024. The first title on this list is the highly anticipated Elder Scrolls 6, which is quite obviously years away. An expansion for an untitled project, licensed IP game, and this came out as quite a shock to me, a Fallout 3 remaster, Elder Scrolls Online expansion, a sequel to Ghostwire Tokyo, Dishonored 3, and Doom Year Zero DLC. Something I will say that is odd to me, we don't see anything related to the release date for the next generation release for Fallout 4 that Bethesda announced quite a ways back, but maybe they didn't plan on releasing that until after the schedule was created, because again, this schedule had to have been created years ago, probably even before fiscal year 2020 for Bethesda. There are, or were plans for, a Fallout Shelter Online, which is no surprise since Fallout Shelter was a huge success for Bethesda and a genius marketing strategy when they announced Fallout 4. It's really good to see what Bethesda and other companies under them are working on, but it's also very unfortunate that these titles were leaked before they even got announced. But as a fan, I can't help but be excited since these leaks appear to be legit. A part of me wonders whether or not that the remasters of Oblivion and Fallout 3 was a plan from Microsoft during their acquisition, because they were acquired by Microsoft in 2020, or if Bethesda created this roadmap during the acquisition. It's hard to tell without an official statement from Microsoft or Bethesda, but they probably wouldn't mention this in the first place. But going back to Oblivion, it was rumored that there was a remaster of Oblivion in the works earlier this year, but the rumor I read was that they were confused on whether they wanted to be an official remake or just do a texture remaster. So it might have halted production. I honestly can't see Bethesda handing off a full-blown remake to another developer, and I don't see them having enough people in their team to actually focus on this DLC for Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6, but I can say a strong remaster is probably something that Bethesda would be willing to do or hand over to another developer. And of course, when this rumor was first revealed, it was told to be taken with a grain of salt, because everyone knows that there are wild rumors when it comes to game development all the time. I'm just saying the validity of that leak that intertwines within this leak with the release schedule means that this list at one point in time was legit, and Bethesda was definitely using this roadmap until maybe around COVID or 2020 for everyone wondering about the Elder Scrolls 6. A while back, Pete Hines did say that if you look at the history of Bethesda's releases, you can tell a timetable of when to expect their games that they're working on. This falls within the time period of when this was probably created, if I'm remembering everything correctly, which means they really did plan on releasing Starfield in 2021, with an expectation of releasing the Elder Scrolls 6 3 years later in 2024. So 3 years between the releases of Fallout 76, Starfield, and the Elder Scrolls 6. But the change here is definitely Microsoft. They were very keen on giving Bethesda enough time to develop Starfield, which is a great thing. All in all, I'm glad that Starfield did get delayed when it did, because there was a good chance that the game wasn't ready. My point is, I wouldn't expect the Elder Scrolls 6 in 3 years, judging by their previous timetable. I think they understand that keeping a game like the Elder Scrolls 6 in the oven longer, similar to what they did with Starfield, outputs a better reception, and this, of course, is their golden franchise. I want to be wrong, but I'm just trying to be a little realistic and set my own expectations. It also seems that the leaks are stating that the Elder Scrolls 6 will only be on Xbox and PC. I think this comes as no surprise to everyone. They bought Bethesda for billions of dollars. You don't do that and not keep some of the cake for yourself. Me personally, I hate exclusives altogether, including what Sony does with timed exclusives or paying other companies to keep titles as exclusives. They both do it, and it's just part of the industry now, unfortunately. I'm even more curious on what a lot of these working titles are in this list as well. For anyone that hasn't seen the picture, there are some mobile games that are named Projects Whirlwind, Ubu, Wanderer, and 4 more untitled projects that span out, while projects Kestrel, Platinum, Kestrel Expansion, and a licensed IP seem to be console releases. Like I've stated a few times already, these titles definitely got hit by some delays like Starfield and Redfall, but just internally. I hope that some of these didn't get cut during all the delays, and I'd be curious to see more about what these titles are in the coming months or maybe years. There was also another leak that talked about a controller and a mid-gen refresh Xbox that has no disk drive. It appears to be a model of the Xbox Series X, since the Series S doesn't have a disk drive to begin with. The controller seems to be taking a few key features from the DualSense PS5 controller, which is awesome. The DualSense is a great controller, and I'm glad that Microsoft is trying to implement their own design, or they're trying to recreate it for Xbox controllers. From the picture that was leaked, it breaks down most of the new changes. It isn't a lot for the overall design of the look of the controller, but they did change the middle button by raising it to be flush with the left and right middle buttons. Seamless pair and switch, assuming you just switch the Bluetooth parity between compatible devices to use the Xbox controller, as well as the materials that seem to be changed in this controller. They claim it to be a more durable controller, and this also could be a new marketing strategy to try and promote cloud and play anywhere where Samsung TVs have access to Game Pass or phones and tablets. It all seems like interesting stuff. That pretty much covers the leaks that I've seen today. As of making this video, Microsoft has taken down the leaked document from its original source, and I'm sure they're going to try and get other posts related to the screenshots of these leaks taken down as well. I'm not entirely sure, but this is a pretty big deal in my opinion for the inner workings for Bethesda and Microsoft. Anyway, what do you guys think? I'd love to hear your thoughts on these leaks, the controllers, and all the games. Let me know in the comments down below. I will be keeping up with all things gaming related as I'm able to. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Until then, I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.